Goes 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the Disruptors live stream, everybody. My name is Andy Pedic. I'm your host, co-host. My normal business partner, Abby Rosenblum, is still on maternity leave. Here we are in week 2 of 10. You're still dealing with me. This week, I've got a really exciting guest, somebody I know really well, somebody I've worked with for years. I'm so excited to share his story. His name is Mr. James Tan. He is the co-founder and CEO of a company called Yerbana. This business that started as a college project has now sprouted into a lifestyle brand that has gone far beyond its original inspiration, harnessing the healing powers and lifestyle of yerba mate and South American culture, I guess, to be a beverage brand, a tea brand, a yoga brand, and really harnessing and encapsulating their mission of find your flow state, which you can see if you're watching this on video behind James and a beautiful background. James, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I tripped on that a little bit because I have so many things to say. You guys started as a beverage company. You've gone on to be an events business, a lifestyle brand. You make mugs that people drink out of in their home. They feel like they're a part of your culture. If anything, I would say Yerbana, I keep using the word lifestyle, but I would say it's a tribe. And maybe we should start there with what does find your flow state mean, since you've got a big neon sign behind you?
Yeah, so obviously we started as a beverage company, but really my passion was wellness. And so we really want to have a holistic wellness mission. And for us, there was 3 elements to that holistic wellness that had to do with the head, the heart, and the gut. And obviously the gut is going to be eating nutritious foods, foods that are healing for you. The heart is going to be that community aspect. So yerba mate is drank out of these gourds and with a filtered straw called a bombilla. And so the culture in South America is to commune around it with your friends. And so we do lots of events. That's sort of the event side of the business. And then the head is that find your flow state. And for us, the flow state is that moment when you're totally absorbed by what you're doing. There is no sense of self and it's effortless. It feels very natural. And through my own personal journey, our personal journey, pursuing our passions, we found, through tons of trials and tribulations, difficulties, when you do what you love, you have that resilience to keep going. And we really have found that doing things that you care about is really good for your health, actually. And when you find that flow state, that moment when you're not really thinking about the future or the past, and you're completely absorbed in what you're doing, it's super, super healthy. And so that's sort of our mission, is to create a community where people are encouraged to be themselves and pursue what actually makes them happy. And so, yeah, it started as a beverage company, but it's evolved into a lot more. So really excited about that message and the different ways we can encourage people to go do what makes them happy so that we can collectively be a happier society.
You guys have a very cool parallel between the actual health benefits of the product that you create and maybe your holistic vision for building a business. Why don't we start with yerba mate itself? If people aren't familiar with it, it is one of the best natural sources of caffeine. It is healing, antioxidants, vitamins. It's a very complex tea. Why don't you talk about what yerba mate is if people aren't familiar with it, and then we can go into commerce and wind up with you guys.
Yeah, you nailed it. It's basically this super tea from South America, super rich in antioxidants, vitamins, minerals. It's anti-inflammatory. There's tons of new studies coming out in South America. There's a lot of excitement about the health because it's been such an ancient medicine for the indigenous people, and obviously it's permeated the culture down there in so many different areas. It's basically a tea. It is not come from the tea tree, but it is a herbal tea in the sense that it's steeped. The plant is Ilex paraguayensis, and ours comes from southern Brazil. The countries that manufacture it mostly, that grow it, are Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, and Brazil. And ours comes from the south of Brazil. It's usually minimally processed with hot air or smoke. Ours is unsmoked. And then very simple preparation. Usually take a gourd, You put the tea leaves in the gourd, put a little bit of cold water, put some hot water, and then traditionally they're drank out of these filtered straws. So it's quite nice. You don't need a strainer or a French press or infuser or anything, but you can just put the straw in. And so you put the leaves in, you put some cold water, put some hot water, and then you take a drink and you can pass it around. And it's very common for people to commune. It's a very inviting, open culture around it. And so, yeah, it has all sorts of preparations like coffee. People drink it hot, they drink it cold, they mix it with milk or juice or different sweeteners. It's very versatile, very green. Yeah, it's a plant that is honestly has so many benefits. And as I continue to drink it, continue to learn more about it, I get more excited that we're bringing it to people, that we're sharing it, and we're growing the awareness around it. So
There are very few ways to describe this because tea is obviously very big in cultures around the globe. And if anybody listening to this has spent time in South America, the first time I experienced yerba mate was in Buenos Aires. And it's very odd because you see people huddled together outside of a business and you kind of think, oh, they must be smoking cigarettes or something. And you walk up and they're handing around this little brown thing, this gourd, and they're all sipping out of this straw. This is also pre-COVID. Everybody has their feelings about this, but when you see people like sitting on the curbside with cars going by, it's always, you think of it being kind of dirty. And it's like, no matter where people are, they feel like they are cleansed, they are safe when they're drinking this healthy beverage. And maybe it is in lieu of coffee for energy, but there is something about someone accepting you. Like they might shake your hand or give you a hug, but extending their gourd to you and sipping somebody else's bombilla is like a sign of harmony and connection, which is very unique. I just realized that I had one of those business meeting with the no pants on situations because I zoomed us out so we could see James's background, and I actually revealed a guayaki stage right. So let's go into the commercial aspects of people became familiar with yerba mate maybe around 2008 when this brand in the yellow can emerged in the U.S. What is it about guayaki and it becoming kind of the first nationally commercial product that people might recognize?
yeah, so obviously it's great that they've made some awareness for yerba mate around. That's great for us. We're always looking to cooperate with anyone who's trying to promote yerba mate. But we have found that a lot of people actually think guayaki is yerba mate, and that yerba mate is that brand. And so we're constantly having to tell people, hey, it's not just this energy drink. It's actually this wonderful herb, and it's prepared in so many different ways and has this deep culture. It makes you feel energized. It makes you feel uplifted, and it inspires you to chat with people around you. It gives you lots of energy to chat with people around you. But yeah, guayaki, they've been around for a while. They have a canned beverage as well. Their product is a little bit different than our product, in the sort of like amount of sweetener and their use of extracts. We're steep in tea in small batches, working with a local brewery. The process is probably quite different. Ours is probably a little bit smaller scale, a little bit more craft. But they've done, a great job of getting people aware of yerba mate, and I'm hoping that we can take it to the next level and really spread the word about the herb, the herb that is, and not just as a canned beverage, but really inform people that it's more than this canned beverage, but it's actually this plant and has this rich culture and so many health benefits. And so I'd love to take it that next step further and really get people familiar with the plant itself.
I have an economic question because when we do these interviews, I typically like to do it like a three-part script of a movie. We talk about the current, talk about the past, talk about the future.
Mhm.
And during the, what do they call the single digit 2000s, the aughts, from like 2008 to let's say 2015, there was a lot of fads. I work in beverage development. Everybody knows this, but we had things like agave nectar as a sweetener was a big deal for a while. Cider was huge. And not just because it became a popular sweet beverage for millennials, but it it was, everybody thought they were celiac for a while. And that's not to discount people that are
Mm.
gluten-free, but America decided as a whole, it wanted gluten-free solutions, and cider became very popular. But there was sweet wines, there was dessert wines, there was kind of the resurgence of the spritzer, there were fruity beers for a little while. And all of these things, which has now culminated to seltzers, which we'll see how long that lasts. But yerba mate was introduced with this brand that came out and had this loud yellow can and was distributed nationally in Whole Foods. And it kind of was a bit of a fad the first time. And I would say that maybe it plateaued around 2012 or so. And you guys got into it kind of in maybe not one of the valleys, but it's just enough of the broad cultural zeitgeist hadn't, as you say, learned about yerba mate yet. They just thought it was this one sweet tea that they had maybe tried at a grocery store. So over the past few years, it has gotten very popular, and maybe not in the leaf beverage yet, but companies like PepsiCo and Dr. Pepper, Snapple have come in and brought brands like Yak Chuck and a few of these. What do you think it is about yerba mate that has changed in the past 3 or 4 years to bring the attention of these national brands, and also the like hockey stick growth of this market leader that's been around since the beginning?
Yeah, I think that, in the West, we're pretty attached to our coffee, and coffee has been like that staple caffeine source of energy. And I think people are exploring lots of other forms of natural energy, and matcha has had a big come up. I think with coffee, I like coffee every now and again, but I don't drink it super frequently. I find the effect it has on my nervous system to be somewhat alarming at times, and it can be quite acidic. So I think there are definitely people who are on that coffee habit who have been seeking alternatives in other things like maca, matcha, mate. So I think with Guyaki, one of the big things for them was that they were sort of like this healthier energy, and with all this research and people being more concerned with health, perhaps a lot of the people who are drinking, I don't know, maybe Red Bulls or
The
other
jitters.
monsters. Yeah, those kind of crazier ones. This was like one step closer, for them to health. And so yeah, I think that with the general health trends and yerba mate, actually, I think Guayaki was just blew up, and they really were this alternate energy drink that was supposed to be healthier for you. And all these other companies started coming out because there was really no other yerba mate things out there. So everyone was just kind of trying to get a slice of the pie. It seems there was like you said, a fad and sort of a trend towards yerba mate, and so a lot of people came out trying to make something similar.
This happened very, very parallel in the kombucha industry, because GT's Kombucha from Los Angeles had been producing the product since the early 90s. And when kombucha got really popular during that early 20 teens time, a lot of other brands emerged, and some of them were equally as authentic. Some of them were more processed. I mean, by nature, there's a way you have to make kombucha. You can't really fake it. But
Hmm.
there were some that were super sweet and had a ton of additives and a lot of things. And we were very fortunate because two of the national leaders, Brew Doctor and Hum Kombucha, are both from Oregon. And the West Coast really had this awesome situation where the bigger regional ones were actually pretty good.
Hmm.
And so one of the things that has really happened, as you mentioned, is people are afraid of energy drinks because they think they give them the jitters. There were things like Four Loco that were these malt beverages that kind of took it over, and people got sick, and some people died from drinking too many. But there really is this clean energy thing. And I'm so glad you said that, because people are seeking that in several different ways. And that extra cup of coffee has effects on your teeth. It has effects on so many other things than a naturally derived caffeine that comes out of a plant. Uh, I mean, I guess coffee comes out of a plant as well, but you know
Yeah.
what I mean, in the way you
Uh-huh.
prepare it, in the way you consume it. So let's talk then about how this came to be. You guys started a company, and you were one of the only brands in this entire industry. Two dudes starting a brand in college. Why don't you go there with the Foster Business School, University of Washington, the entrepreneur program, how you met your co-founder, and how you guys decided this was the thing to do.
Yeah, so we started in University of Washington, like you were saying. We were in the Create a Company entrepreneurship program, and they give you a little bit of seed money. It's kind of like a simulation of starting a business. And so I had just been traveling around, and I had found mate, and I was really interested in the health benefits of it, and so we decided to do a tea company, and it was my suggestion that we made mate the sort of focus of the tea company. And so we decided to just run with it. And, we actually didn't know a lot of the industry or what we wanted to do. We knew we wanted to do something that we cared about. We knew we wanted to kind of do our own thing and learn from experience. And so me and my business partner, John Wesley Evans, he's my buddy, real good buddy. We started this together, and we just went on an adventure together, and it even had a different name when we started. But we really combined both of our passions, which for me was wellness, physical wellness, like plant medicine, finding foods that were nourishing. And for him, it was bringing people together. He was such a people person, and he loved to do events. He was always that guy who was going to text everyone and get everyone to show up, everyone to feel included. And so when he had a travel experience down in Patagonia and meeting all these Chilean, Uruguayan, Argentinian people along the trail who would invite him to join the Mate Circle, that was just the inspiration for us to build this wellness organization that was more than a beverage company, but a community that had a holistic wellness mission that was good food for your body, good connections for your heart, and pursuing your passion, which is what we were doing at the time. So yeah, it never really started as one single idea. It was sort of like as our journey unfolded, we were inspired by the different experiences we had, and just selling a product under a different brand, we weren't doing super good. We weren't super motivated. But I think that when you find a good purpose behind your mission, a good purpose behind your product, it really gives you some motivation, some fire to go out and make it happen. And so there was a time where we rebranded, and we had our find your flow state became our motto. And so things sort of unfolded as time went on, and we became more passionate about mate. We had more experiences around it. We started sourcing from a family farm that we got to know, and had a deeper relationship to it. So it's definitely been an evolution, but yeah, it's amazing where it started. And it inspires me even more to encourage people to go out and find your flow state and to go on that hero's journey for yourself, because you don't know where it's going to go. You just know that everything that you need to learn is you're gonna attract the experiences you need to get to where you need to be to accomplish your dreams. And the universe is conspiring for you in that. So, and I am too.
One of my favorite things about you guys is that this all happened organically when you were in college and you were, looking at products to start. There's a lot of people in this program, as you mentioned, this university, like several business schools, gives groups of students seed money to start a business, and then you have that term to pay the school back, right? And at the end, you can take the business if you want to and go with it. You guys both had opportunities coming out of one of the best business schools in the country to go work at large corporations, and you decided to start with a business that had $0 and a couple of sales on a campus of a college. But it was really the lifestyle that caused both of you to want to do this. And it's very easy for people on the outside to think, oh, you identified an emerging market, or you wanted to start a beverage company. Who doesn't want to start a beverage company? But it's extremely difficult. And the fact that you guys never gave up because of the connection of human experience and of wellness, you guys have been doing this for what, 6 or 7 years now?
Yeah. So we started, in 2017. So it's
crap.
definitely been a journey. And, there's been tons of ups and downs. And for me, I've just been in it for the journey of exactly what this is. I'm trying to find something to work on that really resonates in my heart. And I think that when you really care about what you work on, when you work on it, it doesn't necessarily feel like work. Obviously, I don't want to give this idea that finding your flow state, you don't have to grind, or you don't have to, be disciplined, or take action on things. But yeah, for me, the whole experience has been very transformative, and definitely finding a purpose behind what you're doing has helped us continue onward, because we've been super bootstrapped and we've never had a lot of money, and we've survived so many crazy instances I can't even tell you. But um, it's crazy. You ever listen to the podcast How I Built This by Guy Raz? He always asks all the founders, how much of your success is due to your hard work and how much is due to luck. And I think any founder has to attribute some help to the universe. And I can't speak highly enough to that, where there have been certain instances where um, we've just been provided for. Things just happen to work out. And so just don't be afraid to go try and ask the universe for something, and you might be tested before you get it. But if you can stay in there, things usually happen. So um, yeah.
I really admire that you guys wanted to grow a business, obviously, that you could run and that could be profitable, but you didn't take the easiest method. You guys spent your first couple of years driving around to rock climbing gyms and going to yoga studios and trying to get into little cooler at cafes. And for anybody that sold a product before, that's not the most revenue bearing business method, but you guys became a household name in Seattle through organic hand to hand referrals, hand to hand introduction to the product, giving it as a gift, this whole spirit of yerba mate. So I have so many questions and things to say about you guys finding disruptive business channels and finding ways to raise funds, finding ways to get publicity, and all the things that you did. But I think for the sake of this, I have a whole nother podcast that does that. I think for the sake of this live stream, we talked to entrepreneurs about ways that they disrupt and ways that they pivot. And
Yeah.
you guys have really found this crazy flow and something totally unexpected. So I want to talk about the yoga, because you mentioned your co-founder, Wes, and he is a big time party starter. The guy is a professional photographer, he's an event promoter. He's your Coachella kind of dude. He was at Coachella last week. And I never see Wes when he's not on a boat or at some kind of festival or something. So you had this partner that was just a fire starter, and you brought the culture and you guys embodied it in a package. But at some point you started sharing public yoga events, and you found a way to put on events at one of Seattle's most famous parks, and that has now spawned into something gigantic. So let's establish with everyone, this brand has grown. Obviously it's survived all of this time and through a global pandemic. It's on the shelves in different grocery stores throughout the Northwest. But tell me about how Find Your Flow State became a in-person community and how that survived before and after the pandemic and where it's at now.
Yeah, so like you were saying, starting a beverage company is super hard, and it's not super profitable. It's not like the work isn't necessarily like glorified. And so we had to find something that was meaningful about it. And for me, it was like we never had the money to spend on ads or marketing in the same way other companies did. So I was thinking, how can we differentiate ourselves? And for me, that was experiential marketing. And I didn't even think of it as that. I really thought of it as actualizing our mission, which is to create community, which empowers you to pursue life's passions and find your flow state. And for me, on my personal wellness journey, finding your flow state is a lot of what yoga is about. It's about surrender. It's about finding that tensionless state. It's about moving freely with the universe. And so we decided to do these group yoga events at Gasworks Park, and we were getting our first year, we only got 50 people in the lawn, and then it was 100 people, and then 200 people, and then all of a sudden by the next year, we were getting around 1,000, 1,200 people to show up on the lawn. We were getting yoga studios from all over Seattle to come and provide some yoga instructors, and getting people out in the sunshine, drinking yerba mate, doing some yoga. And so this brand kind of evolved. And, instead of spending money on swag items and stickers and different things to put in the stores, we were saying, okay, let's actually actualize our mission and create strong community around Yerbana, and make that the way that we market ourselves and the way that we become known. And so, yeah, we've done lots of cool forays into our events. We've have a yoga in the park that happens in the summertime, 6:30 on the lawn, Gasworks Park. We've done some guided meditations, some creative writing workshops, some sound bowls. We've done some small events in yoga studios, some mate circles where we just get some mate and pass it around in a circle. But part of the passion in the events for me came from my personal journey with myself, and finding that we live in such a busy society, and there's so much friction around seeing people, and your schedules have to line up, you have to text them and all that. And I just remember feeling in school, or I don't know, church or certain communities I've been a part of, it's like you just show up and there's no friction around it. And there's something about there being something consistent, and something where the container of the space is open, it's accepting, everyone is friendly, or at least open to connecting. And in Seattle, there's this common colloquialism that there's a Seattle freeze, and people are kind of closed off or awkward about connecting. And I would just like to change that. And so we had this vision of creating wellness events, creating a container where people were accepted, where we tolerate, and we're friendly. And in lots of ways, it's kind of like a music festival. Like, why people go to music festivals, they go to feel like they can express themselves, like it's a judgment-free zone. And I just know personally in the culture of our society, people go to those festivals. There's not many spaces like that in society, like psychologically safe environments. And so people go to those places, they take lots of drugs and go hard. And I want to create a space that's like consistent enough where it's like not an escape, right? It's just like a regular place that I can show up to and feel psychologically safe. I see people who recognize me, who know something about me, and it feels like I'm a part of something bigger. And I think that in some ways, I don't feel like I have that. And I don't feel like a lot of people have that, where they're just a part of something bigger, and that they're in a space where people want them to be themselves. And when you tell someone your dreams, like, I want to be an artist, I want to be this, we're not playing devil's advocate. We're not saying, I don't believe you, that's never going to happen. We're saying, I believe you. How can I make you, help you make that happen? And so my vision was always to try and build this community of people, I guess, who are kind of like yogis, who are seeking to live in alignment with their authentic self, and seeking that for other people, and creating an environment that sort of collaborates on that vision of everyone living in alignment with themselves, living relaxed, living in the flow state. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's where the yoga came from. And that was kind of a roundabout way of saying it, but it ended up being this thing that sort of had such great energy around it. It almost built itself, to be honest. And it's going real strong. So we're going to keep doing it this year, and I'm really excited for it.
It's interesting because everybody out there knows someone who's gone to Burning Man before. And this is an odd enigma in our culture, because Burning Man seems like a place where people go hang out in the desert for a week and do a lot of drugs and have a lot of sex and play guitars. But it becomes a city for a week. It has a police force. There are doctors. There are people in medicine and religion and all of these things that go to this place and this experience. And you think to yourself, like, you and I are from the Northwest. I have that pasty, dewy alabaster skin. I'm finally back where I belong. Everybody, I've been living in Colorado for the past 5 years, and everybody thinks that we're the cast of Twilight up here, which kind of are. But I would die. I would turn into a piece of bacon if I tried to go to Burning Man. I would, my skin would melt off. And that's not really my culture, but that idea of going somewhere where you're in a safe environment to just be yourself is very interesting. That's once again something that you have doubled in the experience of just being able to go somewhere, meet people, and exercise, to an environment where people can feel free, can be themselves. And you've also accomplished, very few people can put on an event on a Thursday night in the middle of a major metropolitan city and have 1,000 people show up, let alone have that end at the end of the summer and go through the winter and do indoor events and one-off things, but then have people come back the next year. So why don't you tell us everything about Yoga in the Park for those that are in Seattle, how they can sign up for it, when they should show up, when this year's are, and then we'll go to the next thing.
Yeah, so there's no sign up. It's super low barrier. Just show up to Gasworks Park. It starts July 22nd and goes through September. We're gonna have a new teacher out every week, and we'll probably have some cool programming either before and after. We're toying with the idea of doing some potlucks or some DJs coming after, and really trying to cultivate that space that's safe to just hang and meet some people. You can follow us on Instagram if that's your thing, and we have all of our events that are posted on there. You can also go to our website and sign up for our CRM system and give us your information. We'll make sure to notify you. We are looking to expand on the events that we're doing. We've piloted lots of different types of events just to see, what sticks. But I think some of our successful ones have been some trail cleanups. We all go for a hike, we drink some mate, pick up some trash, all feel great. We're also going to do some more general socials, I think, with some mate. And so, yeah, this summer, definitely check out Yoga in the Park if you're in Seattle. It's at Gasworks Park every Thursday at 6:30 on the lawn. So it's going to be cool.
And if you're in different parts of the Pacific Northwest and you want to try the product, it's available in several grocery stores. You can figure that out on the website or other places online. James, there's something we like to ask everybody before we sign off. What is something right now that you professionally or personally are proud of?
I try not to be too proud of anything, actually. I feel like at one point I was really proud of this thing, and then there was a time where things weren't going super good, and I sort of learned to be a little bit more detached. I think that was just a big lesson where, I was too attached to it, and there was a lot of pain with my attachment to it being a certain place at a certain time. And the universe was almost just telling me to let go and not be so proud of it. And it's almost like to bring it in a philosophical way, Lao Tzu says that water is the humblest because it resides in the lowest positions. And when it resides in the lowest positions, it has nowhere to fall from. And so I think that my attitude is always just going to be to never view us as a huge thing, and always stay true to our roots and stay true, stay low to the ground. I am pretty proud of what we've accomplished so far, though. I mean, I have to just be extremely content and grateful, to be honest. And I can't even scratch the surface on how many crazy things have happened with this business. But we're still here, and we've built this community and this following that really like the message. And we've had so many difficulties financially. Working with friends is very difficult. Just navigating the dynamic economic space right now has been difficult. And so, but we're still here, and I'm very proud that we're resilient and that we haven't given up. And I really do think that if there's a will, there's a way, because the will creates the way. And as long as you want it and you're willing to continue acting as though you want it, you don't just say you want it, but you take action towards wanting it, things will happen. So
your passion gives you purpose, and your purpose gives you resilience, and that's kept you guys here, which has brought you success. I love that. We're going to collect more information from James. This will be on our website. It'll be on future media. We like to collect things like podcasts and books, and we'll look forward to recommending anything that you use as a resource. You as a leader, you as a speaker, we'll pull clips from this. So everybody that's listening to this has been another episode of Disruptors Live, produced by Founderist. If you're looking to connect with other business owners, mentors, board members, co-founders, get in touch with us. We're happy to find someone in your industry, in your area, in your zone of genius. We're here every Friday at 9 o'clock Mountain Time, which is now 8 o'clock Pacific Daylight Time for me. And we will have a new episode next week. James, it's been such a pleasure to have you. And we will put all of the links. That is at Yerbana and yerbana.com. That is yerba as in yerba mate, YERBANA. And if you're in Seattle, especially, check out the yoga events. If you're in the Northwest, try the product. If you're anywhere else, follow it online because it's probably coming to a park or a grocery store near you soon. James, thanks so much. Everybody have a great Friday.
Thanks for having me, Andy. Take care, everyone.